YoungBoy was born Kentrell Deshaun Gordon in 1999, and over the years, he's been known by many names. NBA YoungBoy, YoungBoy Never Broke Again, Top, YB, AI YoungBoy, and the list goes on. Now, YoungBoy by no means had it easy as a kid. He grew up on the north side of Baton Rouge, more specifically North 38th Street and Chippewa Street. This led to another nickname that appears frequently in YoungBoy's songs and albums, 38 Baby. In fact, YoungBoy's legendary lyrics about 38th and Chippewa where he grew up has even attracted superfans who would film themselves driving down the very streets that YoungBoy would play on as a child. But life on 38th Street was not kind to a young YoungBoy. His father, Jeffrey Staden, wasn't in his life growing up, as he had apparently been sentenced to 55 years in jail when YoungBoy was just 8 years old. This monster sentence was punishment for the armed robbery of a Baton Rouge convenience store on December 1st, 2009. YoungBoy's father, along with 3 other men, one of whom was his brother Dallas, had apparently robbed Albi's convenience store on North Sherwood Forest. The robbery got ugly, and YoungBoy's father shot a store clerk in the leg during this altercation. This would earn him charges of armed robbery and attempted first-degree murder. He would plead not guilty, and after a jury trial, the state would find him guilty as charged on 2 counts, getting himself 10 years for the robbery and 50 years for the attempted murder. Many years later, YoungBoy would even reference his father's incarceration, rapping on the song Cross Me that it was actually his uncle, his father's brother, that was there for the robbery, who snitched and got him 55 years in jail. As well as referencing his father's plight on the song Where the Love At, where he raps that he prays he doesn't become an alcoholic like his father, as well as paying respects and suggesting that his father needs a second chance at life because robbing people for their money was how he was trying to provide for his family. It seemed like both sides of YoungBoy's family had a history of robbery, as his uncle on his mother's side was also an alleged known robber in Baton Rouge. However, unfortunately, he would suffer a worse fate than YoungBoy's father. Andy Golden, the uncle who YoungBoy referenced a couple of times in his music, was apparently shot in the head during a robbery attempt. YoungBoy mentions on the track Acquittal how he heard stories about how his uncle was shot in the head, implying that their relationship was most likely non-existent if YoungBoy had to rely on stories to hear all about his life. As well as in the track R.I.P. Lil Dave, when YoungBoy speaks of his uncle who got shot in the head and died while hitting a lick. Further references to this are heard on the track 38 Baby, when YoungBoy outright declares that Andy Golden was his uncle, which means that robbery is in his genes. I mean, just take a second to think about the situation that YoungBoy was dealing with here as a child. His father is serving 55 years for robbery, with one uncle who snitched on him, and his other uncle was also a prolific robber who got shot in the head and killed during a robbery. All this would leave him as a lost child with no father figure who even saw robbery as part of his DNA. That's a heavy situation for an 8-year-old kid to be dealing with. And with no father figure in his life, YoungBoy would have to rely on the females in his family to look after him and make him a man. Despite his mother Sharonda Golden being alive, she apparently wasn't there for YoungBoy as a child at all times. So, he would initially be raised by his loving grandmother Alice Golden, but unfortunately, YoungBoy's grandmother would pass away too, leaving him devastated for years to come. YoungBoy would open up about the loss of his grandmother in a Billboard interview in 2023, calling her his protector. After losing his grandmother, with his father in jail and his mother out of the picture, YoungBoy wound up in a group home, and it would be here that he would be subject to physical abuse and bullying. He would later explain in a Billboard interview that it was this experience of being targeted in the group home that led him to cultivate his own dark and violent side for protection. Clearly, YoungBoy had to fight for survival as a child. In fact, he actually broke his neck whilst he was wrestling as a toddler. This was a serious injury which required him to wear a full neck and head brace whilst his spine healed. This was a corrective procedure which left him with the 3 iconic head scars that he has on his head to this day, an everyday reminder on his face of just one painful incident that he endured as a child, and something his enemies are still quick to use against him, with the hurtful moniker Denthead often being levied against him. YoungBoy had gone through so many traumatic experiences as a child, it's unsurprising that he would grow up dealing with a lot of pain. But even outside of the tragedies in his own family, YoungBoy would also suffer losses outside the home. When he was just age 10, he would end up losing one of his closest childhood friends to gun violence. As a child, YoungBoy was friends with another boy who was around 6 years older than him, a boy by the name of David Cobb, aka Lil Dave. On March the 27th, 2010, a memorial picnic was being held at a park on Woodpecker Street in Scotlandville in Baton Rouge. This event was intended to honour the memory of local teens who had lost their lives to gun violence. But unfortunately, the very thing that this event was intending to shed a light on would end up happening that same day, because at some point, a fight broke out and bullets started flying. One of those bullets hit 16-year-old David Cobb in the spine, and despite there being hundreds of witnesses, this case would ultimately go on unsolved, partly due to a fear in the community of retaliation against those who would be seen as a snitch for speaking to law enforcement. As a result, the family of Lil Dave would be left grieving without closure, heartbroken that their child lost his life at an event that was intended to honour teens losing their lives to gun violence. And it wasn't just Dave's family who were devastated by this loss. YoungBoy himself would be distraught and traumatised by losing a friend to gun violence so young. He would go on to rap about the loss of Lil Dave and the effect that it had on him years later. YoungBoy would rap on the song For Keeps with Rich the Kid that Dave was killed by a chopper or machine gun and that he wishes he could call him. Also, on the aptly named song Homicide, YoungBoy expresses his desire to get revenge and kill the person who took Dave's life, as well as saying that he knows Lil Dave is still with him on the song Poor One. On the song Cage Feeling, YoungBoy speaks about the death of Lil Dave, saying that this loss turned his heart cold and made him become a killer. The fact that YoungBoy was no stranger to loss of friends and family at such a young age just goes to show you the kind of environment he was growing up in, and the factors that coerced him into the kind of lifestyle he would go on to live. But YoungBoy was already being influenced by the streets. He would actually later rap in the song Life that Lil Dave was the person who taught him how to smoke, shoot dice, and get money for sneakers. He also said that he felt life began getting crazy for him when Lil Dave was killed. In the song Better Man, YoungBoy would claim to be tormented by the image of Lil Dave's murder in his mind. And on the track How I'm Living, he would vow to make the people responsible bleed for what they did to Dave. Later on the unreleased track Hold 13, that appeared only in a trailer for his hit album Top, YoungBoy would rap a lyric which some believe is him actually confessing that when he made his first $20,000, he spent it on a hitman to get revenge on Lil Dave's killer. With this traumatic and personal loss, combined with his family's reputation when it came to robberies, it's no surprise then that as a young teenager, YoungBoy dropped out of school in the 9th grade and got heavily involved in the streets, becoming a teenage robber just like his father and uncle. YoungBoy would later tell DJ Smalls Eyes in an interview that after his grandmother died, he started robbing himself and ultimately wound up in jail for a robbery at just age 14.
I grew up stealing, taking from people. And like, well, at first, my grandma used to take care of me. And when my grandma died, started catching my attention at a younger age. See, I got booked for robbery at my age 14.
Ultimately, YoungBoy found himself in a youth detention center for this robbery. But perhaps this would be a blessing in disguise, as while he was incarcerated, he would claim to have found his purpose in life, beginning to write music and using that as a way to express himself and cope with the pains of life, vowing to become an artist rather than a criminal.
I ain't gonna say it was the best thing that happened to me. It helped me know my purpose. It helped me know what I want to do. Within them 6 months, I wrote at least like 25 songs with no beats. It was basically what I was going through, how I was feeling. It helped me learn how to express myself.
YoungBoy's family were actually always interested in music. YoungBoy claimed to have written his own obscene rap lyrics in the 4th grade, and he had apparently been taken to the studio by his mother, who herself was also an aspiring rapper. And his father had even written to him from jail, telling him that he had been writing music during his 55-year sentence, and encouraging YoungBoy to focus on music too. So, upon his release from jail for robbery, YoungBoy would return to 38th Street with little more than just a dream of becoming a rapper, along with a lifetime of trauma. And before he could get anywhere with his rap career, he would at least need a stable environment to live in. Luckily, he ended up finding a new place in the neighborhood to call home, with YoungBoy rapping on the song Life that he met his friend 33 riding his bike down Chippewa, and that 33's mother accepted him into their home like family. According to 33, him and YoungBoy are essentially brothers, as the two grew up with the same mother, Monique. But Monique is really 33's biological mother, as we know that YoungBoy is the biological son of Sharonda Golden. But due to the fact that 33's mother Monique helped raise YoungBoy, he often refers to her as his mother as well, which would make 33 his adopted brother, and the two do seem to have a relationship that is stronger than most real brothers. And because of this, the two basically just say they're real brothers.
You said you knew him since you were 4?
Since when?
Because you guys are
Like
brothers,
day one,
and you were born around each other, so it's like you don't have any memories of not knowing them.
No, it's like you know how both our dad is split up, you know what I'm saying? So we got the same mamas. It's
okay.
like, man, really, I started making music with my brother. Just really inspired me to go in the booth, because it really wasn't about me. It was really about YoungBoy, and I was pushing him. And one day he just told me, man, look, come do this with me. And he pushed me to go in the booth, and I just took a liking into it, and that's where it really started from. So, shout out YB.
Meanwhile, YoungBoy's relationship with his own biological mother Sharonda was up and down during his childhood. Years down the line, he would open up about this on the song Lonely Child from his October 2019 project AI YoungBoy 2, when he says that even though he called 33's mother Monique his adopted mother, he still needs Sharonda in his life. Perhaps due to the lack of a real father figure growing up meant that he had to rely on both of his mothers for emotional and mental support. But anyway, after getting out of Juvenile and finding a new safe space to call home, YoungBoy's new spiritual brother 33 would be supportive of his aspirations as a rapper, and together this brotherly duo would get back to finessing on the streets to pay for studio time. Eventually, with YoungBoy getting enough recording time in to produce a full-length musical project. And by April the 10th, 2015, YoungBoy had released his first ever mixtape, Life Before Fame. This tape featured tracks like Homicide and Range Rover, which showed a 15-year-old YoungBoy truly had the skills to pay the bills early on. The album begins with an intro where YoungBoy mentions an affiliate of his named D-Dog catching a body. This sets the mood for the rest of the album, letting fans know straight away that YoungBoy had ties with the streets, despite the fact that he was technically still a child at this point. And in the same song, he gives us an insight into his torturous relationships and the reason behind why he finds it so hard to remain faithful to his partners, even at age 15. In the song I Know, YoungBoy begins to paint a menacing picture of his position in the local gang hierarchy, mentioning on 2 occasions how he can rely on another known NBA affiliate by the name of Lil Pap to go get him. A brash statement which shows that even at age 15, YoungBoy was really in the streets, with people around him that he could send to do dirty work. YoungBoy would also share his experience with Get Back and vengeance in this project. On the track Deal With It, he talks about how revenge was exacted on the person who killed his uncle, saying that they spotted the person who killed his uncle and that YoungBoy witnessed somebody put that person in a casket, and going on to say that the deceased man's brother is now after him. This is an important lyric, as it shows that even back when he was just 15 years old, people were dying around YoungBoy, being killed, and he was becoming a target himself, despite not being directly responsible for the violence that had played out. Elsewhere on this song, YoungBoy pledges his allegiance to a group called TBG, or Top Boy Gorilla. This is the first crew or record label that YoungBoy aligned himself with when he became a rapper, though unfortunately, as is often the case in the streets, over time, as YoungBoy's star rose, tension would brew between the members of TBG, arguing over who the next big rapper from the group would be. And eventually, what begun as a partnership would devolve into a deadly beef, with members of TBG picking their sides and the feud escalating into an all-out gang war, with people being murdered on both sides, and years of heartbreak playing out on the streets and in the music. It wouldn't take long for others to see the potential that this teenage rap prodigy had. From here, a group of people from his neighborhood, with ties to the music industry as well as the streets, would begin to take him under their wing. YoungBoy's first mixtape, Life Before Fame, was actually released under the banner of TBG, with YoungBoy and 33 being seen in throwback pictures rocking TBG merch. TBG stands for Top Boy Gorilla, a crew with a storied history in the wild and dangerous streets of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. TBG was supposedly started by deceased Louisiana native and affiliate of rap veteran Boosie, Little Ivy Smith. He would turn out to be the uncle of future TBG rap prospect Lit Yoshi, but more on him later. Now, Lil Ivy was sadly killed in an unsolved triple homicide back in 2005. However, at this early stage in the game, YoungBoy was nothing more than a promising young prospect to these Baton Rouge rap OGs. The older members of TBG were looking to find the next up-and-coming rap rookie who could potentially be the next homegrown rap star to come out of Baton Rouge. And at the time, the real crown jewels of the TBG squad were a couple of rappers known as G Money and Fredo Bang, who around the time were picking up steam with their song iPhone 6 alongside Boulevard Mel and YMM Captain. You can tell that YoungBoy was truly close with the TBG crew at this point because YoungBoy even appeared in the background of the iPhone 6 music video, at one point handing a Gucci bag to Fredo Bang, a moment that would honestly be inconceivable in what would later become a deadly and bitter beef. As the story goes, the TBG crew had ties to Baton Rouge's criminal underworld, and rappers and affiliates of the TBG crew were still involved in the local drug trade. Unfortunately, soon some of this street beef would end up souring things on the music side, because the TBG crew supposedly had a beef going with another Baton Rouge crew called BBG, or Bottom Boy Gorillas. Gang, crew, clique, record label, call them whatever you want, but BBG and TBG were bitter enemies, with a big rumour at one point going around that YoungBoy's cousin Bozilla, who was affiliated with BBG, ended up in a bitter disagreement with G Money from TBG. Now, there's been intense speculation over the years as to what was the exact cause of this beef. Some have suggested that Bozilla ran off with money or drugs from G Money, whilst others suggest that the whole drama was actually over a woman. Another explanation even suggests that it was actually YoungBoy himself who stole money from G Money, but actually blamed the finesse on his cousin Bozilla, as Bozilla was seen on Twitter disavowing his own family at one point. and G Money seemingly indicating that this rumor was true on his diss track Industry, where he claimed that YoungBoy had him looking for Bozilla with a gun, and saying that Bozilla actually wanted to kill YoungBoy over this whole situation. There's even an old clip circulating that showed Bozilla and BBG affiliate Baby Joe seemingly posted up with guns looking for YoungBoy and saying F NBA.
NBA. Pull up. What up, Baby Joe? Pull that bitch up.
This was unusual because previously Bozilla had claimed to be a member of the group NBA and even at one point referred to himself as NBA Boosie. Now, I'll explain to you what NBA means in a minute, but just bear with me. Because meanwhile, as that personal beef was developing, another more professional beef was emerging between YoungBoy and the TBG crew. According to some, at a certain point YoungBoy got frustrated with the TBG label. This was likely due to the fact that he wasn't necessarily getting the money or shine that he thought he deserved from the crew, with their main focus being on building the careers of G Money and Fredo Bang rather than investing in YoungBoy. So at some point, YoungBoy and 3-3 would leave TBG, starting their own crew. Initially, 3-3 and YoungBoy wanted a group based on YoungBoy's initials, Kentrell Golden, or KG. Since KG also means kilograms, the initial idea was to call their crew Weight Gang, another reference to the drug game.
At first his name was like KG, but then we got like, that's where the Weight Gang come from. But
what did KG stand for?
Like his initials, that's his name.
Right.
But Weight Gang was one of the first things he had came up with.
But clearly that name wasn't really hitting the spot. So later on, a few of the members of this crew were just chilling, sitting on their porch, when YoungBoy apparently vowed that he was not trying to go broke no more, to which other members of the crew agreed the same thing, with this pledge giving the crew inspiration to name themselves Never Broke Again, or NBA.
Like when we was on the porch one day, it was like, we ain't trying to go broke no more, and then he was like, I ain't trying to go broke neither, so we never broke again. Like, you know what I'm saying? From day one, that's where NBA started from. Like,
so the NBA crew was born, naturally taking some inspiration from the National Basketball Association. They would even make their logo the Jumpman, the iconic logo affiliated with basketball legend Michael Jordan dunking a basketball, but for Never Broke Again, their version would be a man jumping up in the air holding a pistol. YoungBoy's NBA crew wanted to go from pistol-toting stick-up kids to music industry heavy hitters being paid as much as professional basketball players. Now, whether or not you like the name, there was no denying that the meaning behind it was powerful, and together, the Never Broke Again crew rallied around YoungBoy, vowing to do whatever it took to take him to the top, and make sure that they as a group never go broke again. So before we dive any deeper into the goings-on of the Never Broke Again crew, let's just take a quick look at some of the main members of that collective so that you can follow everything that's about to go down in this long and complicated story. YoungBoy is of course the face of Never Broke Again, the NBA collective. He is the label's leading rapper. And this crew's bet on getting behind YoungBoy's career would ultimately end up paying off handsomely. And with his crew's support, he would go on to become one of the biggest artists in the entire world. Then there's OG33, NBA's co-founder, who started the group along with YoungBoy and Montana.
I started NBA, you know, like, it then like YoungBoy just was really like the main one who was rapping. Like, I don't really take rapping serious, cause like YoungBoy really made me rap.
After 3-3's mother took YoungBoy in as one of her own, they would build a bond as strong as blood brothers.
We got the same mamas, like that.
OG33 is one of 10 children, 5 kids from his mother's side, 5 from his father's side. But he's the oldest of all of them, which has led to him having a mature outlook and a real head on his shoulders, as he's almost had to act like a father figure for YoungBoy and his other siblings.
And there's 10 kids altogether, right?
Yeah.
5 from your mom and 5 from your dad.
Yeah. On both sides, I'm close with all my brothers and sisters, cause I'm the oldest. So it's just like,
you're almost like a father figure, in a way.
Yeah.
Is that a lot of responsibility?
Yeah, for sure. But you know, that's just my role. So it's just, I took on my role.
When YoungBoy didn't really want to rap at first, it was 3-3 that pushed him and made sure that he stuck with it, dedicating his life to elevating YoungBoy's career and keeping him on the right path.
I always was the one that always pushed him, like, cause he didn't really want rap at first, but then like once I really found out like he was gonna be that, like I pushed him even more harder. Like I was getting like I went back to like record companies was doing, like I was getting 1,000 CDs printed up. Like, man, I didn't got them 1,000 CDs and really passed them out like this the man of minutes, like this that.
It's 3 who pulls the strings and make the moves behind the scenes, keeping the ship sailing smoothly and ensuring that the NBA collective runs efficiently and profitably. He apparently would manage the business side of things, sometimes writing contracts or putting shows together.
I was more on the business and management, like writing contracts and, you know, putting shows together for him. Like When we first started off, I was doing really everything, you know.
And YoungBoy apparently even inspired OG3 to start making his own music, because before, 3 was just mainly focused on pushing YoungBoy's career.
If it wasn't for YB walking me into the booth, I wouldn't even be in the music, because I was just mainly pushing him. It wasn't even about me.
Now, 3 does enjoy rapping, but he's also a self-proclaimed CEO, and business is apparently where his passion lies.
My main focus is it wouldn't be a career. I wouldn't choose rap as a career because I am a CEO and I love my position.
But 3 has also gained a cult following of his own from being the head honcho of the NBA crew. And considering the dark reputation that has followed YoungBoy over the many deadly years of his career, this has led to many internet fanboys speculating on whether OG3 is the true mastermind behind the violence playing out in Baton Rouge. With many Reddit posts circulating, constantly speculating on how many deaths that 3 might be responsible for, even sometimes referring to him as the Grim Threeper. But it's unclear if that is just straight trolling, because in reality, OG3 has always tried to look out and take care of YoungBoy and keep him on the straight and narrow, acting as the voice of reason in his life.
That's my baby brother. I always look out for him. I always take care of him. But like, I don't ever expect him to do nothing bad. But he don't do it intentionally. It might be on accident. But I always talk to him and enforce that like we shouldn't be doing a lot of things. And you know he listens. So it's like I always was that type of person. I always was that.
Kind of like the voice of reason for when he gets a little hot-headed. You're like, so that'll help calm him down. Because he probably listen to you and he ain't trying to listen to a lot of random people.
Yeah, he ain't gonna listen to nobody. If it ain't me.
Then you've got Montana. According to a Billboard article profiling YoungBoy, Kyle Montana Clybourne found YoungBoy's music early on YouTube, and in the absence of a father figure or any real older male role model in his family, it seems like Montana assumed a kind of father figure role for YoungBoy in the early stages of his life and career, giving him guidance on how to survive the gritty streets of North Baton Rouge. In fact, in the song Lonely Child from his October 2019 project AI YoungBoy 2, YoungBoy admits that he has been missing his father, and as a result, he actually calls Montana his father. Montana would help co-found the Never Broke Again label along with YoungBoy and 3, with interviews explaining that in the early days of NBA, YoungBoy would be sleeping on an air mattress at Montana's house, at a time when Montana played the role of manager, booking agent, and financier, driving YoungBoy all around the South to perform for between $500 and $1,500 a show to build his fan base in the early days. However, there's always been confusion over exactly who YoungBoy's manager specifically is, and to be fair, it has changed over the years. For a period of time, YoungBoy's manager was a man by the name of Big Dump. Sometimes referred to as YoungBoy's manager or agent, it was Dump who was there for YoungBoy during the most turbulent years of his come-up, but Dump would ultimately end up losing his life in 2018, seemingly as a direct result of the deadly street beef between these two warring Baton Rouge gang sets. But we'll go much deeper into that situation later on in the story. Another person who played a significant role on the management side is someone called Fee Banks, a Louisiana industry legend who had apparently helped Lil Wayne start Young Money and previously managed Kevin Gates. These people are the brains and administrators behind the NBA empire. And then, when it comes to the rapping side, we have a number of NBA members with a much closer proximity to the streets. Now, there's a lot of names that have been affiliated with this crew over the years, and this list is by no means a definitive list of everyone who has had something to do with NBA as a crew, so don't be offended if you got left off. But these are just some of the people who have played a major role in YoungBoy's crew and who play a relevant role in today's story. I'm talking about people like NBA Ben 10. This is OG3's younger blood cousin and a day one NBA affiliate. Ben met YoungBoy at 3's house, and apparently the two had a fight the first time that they met.
Man, 3 first cousins, blood. Like, we used to stay together. His mom and mom used to live together, so that's how I met 3. And I met that day at 3 house. I met that. We had a fight the same day, you heard me?
But apparently after this fight, they would share a blunt and become good friends, going on to make money and catch cases together since they were just 12 years old.
We spoke the blunt, you heard me? Yeah, I became part of the NBA the same day, just like that.
How old y'all was like around that time?
I'd say probably finna turn 12 or 12.
Ben has been a key part of the collective since day one, with a huge presence on social media, particularly Instagram, where he would give exclusive insights and snippets into the world of Never Broke Again. 10 still posts regularly on Instagram despite his original account having been taken down, and he's even seen some recent success in his own right as a rapper, with songs such as Pain and Walking Dead amassing over 1 million views each. But he's also a loose cannon, and not somebody to be messed with. He was seen on IG Live with YoungBoy, Baby Joe, and other NBA members playing with guns, with Ben 10 letting off shots on IG Live, causing Baby Joe to duck for cover. BBG Baby Joe is another one of YoungBoy's cousins, who despite his young age, has lived through a lot. including a bullet to the face.
You know, you guys were on the freeway. I think it was you and 2 friends, and a car opened fire on you guys.
We were leaving Walmart. Everybody had went and got some cake and ice cream for my baby for his birthday. When I walk out Walmart, I see this shit. And then I ain't get shot on the interstate. I don't know where people get their information from. I was trying to was at the light, and then it just went like that. Yeah, man.
Despite facing serious danger in the streets, Baby Joe has been aiming to make a name for himself in the music industry and make himself some legitimate money. His 2018 song, Iraq, has over 5 million views, and as a beloved member of the NBA crew, Joe's name often pops up in YoungBoy's songs. And if these lyrics are anything to go by, it seems that Joe's relationship with the streets remains strong. Another key member of the crew is Meechy Baby. Well known as YoungBoy's raspy-voiced big cousin, he's best known for his early 2000s style song Cutlass, as well as his 2020 track with YoungBoy, Talk My, a track which has amassed an impressive 47 million views at the time of recording. YoungBoy has talked about hitting licks and doing burglaries with his older cousin Meechy on numerous occasions in his lyrics, leading some listeners to think that it was perhaps Meechy who had influenced YoungBoy's involvement with the streets in his early life. Then of course you have Big B, who picked up a lot of attention for his fire verse on the NBA posse cut, That Gang, which picked up over 5 million views and also featured 3-3 and KD. Big B exhibits a more conventional rapping style compared to some other members of the NBA crew, with less laid-back melodies and catchy hooks, and more hard-hitting bars and punchy refrains delivered with aggressiveness and energy on the mic. There's NBA KD, he's known musically for his versatility and distinct flow, as well as a standout performance on the song That Gang. He also popped up with a verse on the song Extortion with Big B and 3-3, a track which got over 2 million views. His biggest solo track is the 2018 song When I Wake Up, and KD showed a lot of promise and potential in the early years of rap. Unfortunately, his momentum was derailed by a life-changing injury getting shot in 2019. Reportedly, after this incident, KD was confined to a wheelchair. However, there's been a lot of speculation as to whether he was walking again after a period of rehabilitation. Whilst that's not been confirmed, since the incident, he has remained firmly behind the scenes, but is a beloved member of NBA. Another major member of the crew is Herm the Black Sheep. Musically, fans appreciate Herm for his real and authentic lyrics and subject matter rather than his style or flow on the mic. And if the content of his lyrics are to be believed, he is certainly not one to be messed with. In the same vein, there's also WhoGang Dee, aka Lil D or Scully. This is another cousin of YoungBoy with a serious reputation in the streets and his own budding rap career, with his catchy double-meaning titled song, Can't Go to Sleep, running up 1.6 million views at the time of this writing. Interestingly though, D wasn't even aware that he was YoungBoy's cousin when they first became friends, apparently only finding out later through his mother and grandfather.
I didn't know he was my cousin at first.
Oh, really?
See, I was thugging with 3
Okay.
at first. And then my mama had texted me like, when I was with him for a whole month straight, with YB for a month, she had texted me, she was like, she talked to my papa, and he told her that I had a cousin named NBA YoungBoy that rap. You get what I'm saying? And she was like, for real? That's crazy, he already be hanging with him.
He's apparently the survivor of a gunshot wound to the neck, with YoungBoy having dropped numerous lyrics complimenting D as a reliable shooter, even going as far in the song Bring the Hook to label him a headshot specialist. This is a skill that D himself all but admitted in his off-the-porch interview.
Yeah, how'd you get the nickname Scully?
From this tattoo, I'm just saying like that. The gun, shooting the score.
Yeah.
Scully.
He's got a promising rap career, a likable personality, and big potential to be a star on the mic if he can stay out of trouble. You've also got Lil Pap, Ben 10's little brother, and a known shooter for the NBA crew in the streets. YoungBoy has mentioned him as being active in the streets in numerous songs, labeling him specifically as somebody who YoungBoy can call on for certain favors. And he recently got 5 years for his apparent involvement in the murder of TBG rival rapper G Money, which we will discuss in detail shortly. There's also NBA Chopper Boy, a big man with a big range in his vocals, bringing a great singing voice to the mic that serves to provide a canvas for his dark and menacing lyrics. Then you've got Barber, one of YoungBoy's frequently referenced shooters. Like Pap, Barber, or Baba Osama, is mentioned quite a bit in some of YoungBoy's most violent songs, with YoungBoy even rapping on the track Carter's Son that he calls up Barber to get the guns and go and rob people for him. Now, Barber has a pretty extensive rap sheet, demonstrating just how active he was in the streets, and he's currently locked up on murder charges. But these aren't your average murder charges. It's actually been reported that Baba Osama is facing a whopping 9 counts of murder, with some recent posts on social media even suggesting that Baba Osama was actively working as a gang assassin or hitman, engaging in murder for hire for numerous gangs. Now that's not necessarily everybody that's been involved with YoungBoy's NBA crew over the years, but they are the people that we'll be talking about most extensively in today's story. Clearly, YoungBoy's NBA crew are a group of young men coming out of some of the most difficult streets that the Deep South has to offer. Clearly, some of these guys aren't afraid to break the law and even kill to protect what's theirs. Whether that's their own lives, the lives of those around them, or the life of their top breadwinner, YoungBoy. The NBA crew are truly willing to do whatever it takes to make sure that they indeed never go broke again. However, there's been a lot of confusion over the years, because as well as NBA, there's another group that YoungBoy and other NBA members shout out a lot, and that's 4K Trey, or 4KT. It would appear that while YoungBoy started his record label in the name NBA, or Never Broke Again, his affiliations to actual gangs in the streets of Baton Rouge goes by another name. YoungBoy has dropped numerous lyrics where he claims to be a member of the gang 4K Trey, who sometimes refer to themselves as Slimes. He's also made numerous references to being in America's infamous Blood Gang. Now, slime is a decades-old term that has been associated over the years with Blood Gang members. This term was initially brought to the public's attention by Blood rapper Vado, who released numerous projects that would reference slime, with the usage of the Blood slang slime and slat being popularized in mainstream modern rap music by Atlanta Blood rapper Young Thug, who is currently incarcerated awaiting trial for gang-affiliated charges. Now, this slime ideology essentially sees Blood members identifying under the color green rather than the traditional red bandana that Blood members are known to wear. And as YoungBoy got further into the music industry, he would seemingly build close relationships with other rappers who were known to affiliate with the Blood Gang or identified as Slime. People like Birdman, 21 Savage, and Young Thug himself. And as the years went by, YoungBoy would increasingly use his lyrics and music videos to shout out his affiliations to 4K Trey, the Blood Gang, or Slimes, even naming his Never Broke Again label compilation album Green Flag Activity, along with him and his crew frequently being seen in public with nothing but slime green bandanas and blue clothing. They would also sometimes refer to each other as fours for 4K Trey. However, for the specific explanation of the gang's name 4K Trey, this has been a mystery that has sparked debate amongst NBA fans for years. One popular theory is that it simply means 4 Kentrell, and that his 4KT gang are killing or shooting specifically for YoungBoy, or Kentrell. Another popular theory claims that 4KT actually stands for Forever Killing Them, a more general rallying cry against their ops. Other people think that 4KT actually relates to the names of YoungBoy's first children, with the first 4 of their names beginning with K and 1 beginning with T, with this being a more vanilla interpretation of the gang's name, suggesting that 4KT is a way of YoungBoy saying that he's essentially doing what he does for his children, whose initials are K and T. Another explanation circulates, suggesting that 4KT actually means 4 Crazy Trey. This is a reference to Crazy Trey, a young man from Baton Rouge who was gunned down at a party in 2014. He was apparently close friends with one of YoungBoy's biggest enemies from Baton Rouge, Fredo Bang, a detail which has led many to suggest that this actually couldn't possibly be the true meaning of 4K Trey, with some outright denying this explanation, suggesting that YoungBoy had not even yet associated with Fredo Bang at the time 4KT was founded. There's yet another theory that 4KT actually refers to YoungBoy's cousin Bozilla, who was killed in 2016, as his real name was Keandre, with a suggestion that 4K Trey actually was originally 4K Dre, or Keandre, but the Dre over time ended up being changed to Trey. Now look, at this stage, it's unclear exactly what 4K Trey stands for, but in the end, perhaps we aren't supposed to know the real meaning. And the idea that the true origins of this gang that YoungBoy supposedly affiliates with being shrouded in secrecy kinda makes perfect sense. After all, YoungBoy's artist Quando Rondo would even say in his song Way Up that he actually threw a girl out just for even asking what 4K Trey meant. Clearly it's a secret, and clearly I'm not supposed to know, which means you are definitely not supposed to know. But now you know the city, the gangs, the label, and the people behind the music, let's take a closer look at the story, the incredible ups, the devastating downs, and the lessons to be learned from YoungBoy's one-of-a-kind career and life journey. After falling out with his old label and crew, TBG or Top Boy Gorillas, YoungBoy and his brother from another mother, OG3, would start their new crew, NBA, vowing to make it in the rap game and never go broke again.
From day one, that's where NBA started from. Like, Me and him sitting on that porch, like really saying we wasn't trying to go broke no more.
The formation of his new NBA crew was announced with a bang when YoungBoy dropped his earliest surviving music video, the aptly titled NBA, on his own YouTube channel. That video saw YoungBoy and 3-3 surrounded by their NBA muscle all around 38th Street with all type of firearms. And the song itself came with lyrics where YoungBoy shouted out his shooter, NBA Pap, rapping that he sends Pap to go and hit people up, as well as shouting out another shooter as NBA Connor with the Mac 11, going on to describe his NBA shooters as being as proficient with firearms as Navy SEALs. He would also rap about the cops and his ops in the city trying to hunt him down, and naming NBA outright as the gang that he represents. YoungBoy's first ever mixtape, Life Before Fame, was launched under the TBG banner, the label Top Boy Gorillas, with their logo visible on the bottom left of the cover art. But by December 1st, 2015, YoungBoy was going at it alone under his new NBA banner, with a fresh mixtape, Mind of a Menace, being released fully independently and presented under the banner of his own NBA crew. And it would appear that YoungBoy and NBA were using this project as an opportunity to drop sneak disses and disrespect towards their former crew TBG. On the project, he would drop several lines that were directed towards TBG, suggesting that they envied him and that he wasn't willing to work under somebody else's administration. YoungBoy was beginning to build momentum independently of his former crew, and he'd keep his foot on the gas into 2016, following up his second mixtape with Speed. On April 1st, 2016, only 4 months after Mind of a Menace dropped, YoungBoy blessed his budding fanbase with a sequel, Mind of a Menace 2, and on this project, he continued to drop shade on his former crew TBG. In the intro for this tape, he suggests that they didn't live up to their promises and says that he's ready to go to war with his former allies. Then in the song A Lot of Miles, YoungBoy explains that rather than switching on TBG like some say he did, he actually claims to have just gotten smarter and that he hasn't really changed at all, perhaps indicating that he felt he got smart to what was going on and realised that his career would benefit more as a free agent. YoungBoy would seemingly indicate his team's readiness to go to war with their former crew, on the track Fact, rapping that he's riding around with Pap, OG3, and guns, looking for their ops and aiming to make their guns go boom when they see them. Around this time, it seems clear that YoungBoy formed his winning strategy of flooding the internet with music through frequent mixtape releases. Less than 3 months after Mind of a Menace 2, YoungBoy would drop yet another mixtape, Before I Go, which was released on June the 27th, 2016. And on this project, YoungBoy would begin to drop hints alluding to the ongoing beef with G Money, the star rapper of his former crew TBG, Top Boy Gorillas. YoungBoy would also be shooting more threats to his former crew on the song Change, saying YoungBoy not TBG, and if someone plays, he's gonna get it. And another lyric on the song Change seemed to acknowledge a rumour that G Money had actually hooked up with YoungBoy's sister, with YoungBoy saying he won't speak on sleeping with my sister, something that perhaps wasn't public knowledge at the time of this song's release. But around a year later, G Money would openly admit and kind of brag about hooking up with YoungBoy's sister in a Say Cheese interview.
He met by his sister too though.
About his sister?
Yeah, I had a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
The beef between YoungBoy and G Money would be further complicated by YoungBoy's cousin Bozilla. Bozilla repped BBG, or Bottom Boy Gorillas. They were the main rivals of TBG until YoungBoy started his NBA crew. The story goes that G Money from TBG was beefing with Bozilla from BBG over some stolen drugs. Drugs which some believe YoungBoy himself may have actually stolen, blaming Bozilla. This theory is based on lyrics G Money rapped on his song Industry, where he claimed YoungBoy's own cousin wanted to kill him. So, on July the 16th, 2016, YoungBoy's cousin Bozilla drops the song Forgive Me, where he's dissing TBG and repping BBG. He wears a BBG t-shirt in the video, and he shouts out the Bottom Boys as his crew. He'd rap lyrics seeming to suggest that he was a shooter and that he wants to kill a rapper. But more specifically, he dissed another local rapper by the name of FL Doosa. Doosa is from the FL, or Forever Loyalty crew, who would later be closely affiliated with TBG, with Doosa himself later dropping numerous songs with Fredo Bang, Lit Yoshi, and other TBG artists. In Bozilla's song Forgive Me, he raps that Doosa is scared to walk through the South and that he's laying down the law in his area. Apparently the beef between Bozilla and Doosa was extremely personal and would eventually turn deadly. But before things would escalate to more violence, YoungBoy would end up making a huge leap forward in his rap career. On September the 21st, 2016, YoungBoy drops the video for his breakout track 38 Baby. Named after the street he grew up on, Northside 38, this song was a window into his life fresh out of the streets. The track painted a picture of his daily life, drinking lean, smoking with demons, and sending his hitters at people for any reason he can find, explaining how he's not able to go anywhere without being armed and having to look out for old friends who turned on him over envy. Frankly, this song described a lot of pressure for a 16-year-old kid to be dealing with at the time. In the track, he also seemed to drop shade on G Money and TBG, denying their claims that they blew him up as a rapper and claiming that they just don't like the fact that he's now blowing up faster than them. The music video for 38 Baby saw YoungBoy and his friends toting plenty of firearms, and many people were taken aback by seeing somebody so young surrounded by so much danger and communicating the stark reality of their life so clearly over a catchy beat. Hell, footage would later even circulate showing that YoungBoy actually recorded many of the songs from around this period with an actual AK-47 on him in the recording booth. This 16-year-old young boy was living a life truly beyond his years, and this spectacle would attract the attention of many more fans and music industry players. The song 38 Baby and its music video has garnered over 100 million views on YouTube to this day, and the song itself was followed by a full mixtape also titled 38 Baby, which dropped on October the 28th, 2016. This project would truly be the watershed moment of YoungBoy's career professionally, and he would finally get co-signs from respected rappers in the industry. As on the mixtape itself, YoungBoy secured collaborations with fellow Louisiana Baton Rouge legends such as Kevin Gates and Boosie Badass, as well as a verse from his day one brother OG3. In fact, Kevin Gates, after appearing on the 38 Baby mixtape track Like Me, even got a portrait of YoungBoy tattooed on his right leg just to show his admiration for the rising Louisiana legend. And Boosie would invite YoungBoy to feature on his November 2016 track, My Lil Son, where YoungBoy rapped menacingly about sliding on his ops with NBA Joe and 3-3. But back to the 38 Baby mixtape. As well as gaining YoungBoy the respect of heavy hitters in the Baton Rouge rap scene, it also gained YoungBoy an enormous amount of fame and success in the eyes of his fanbase. But bizarrely, in very YoungBoy fashion, reveling in the success of his latest release, just a week after the 38 Baby project dropped, he came out with yet another mixtape, Mind of a Menace 3, releasing on November the 4th, 2016. This time coming with yet another major industry cosign, a remix of his song Murder featuring Atlanta blood rapper 21 Savage, a remix which also dropped with a music video the very same day. YoungBoy even later claimed that he became a member of 21 Savage's set of the Blood Gang, 4L, and they seemingly fostered a close relationship, something which would unfortunately deteriorate years later. But regardless, at this point YoungBoy seemingly had fully muscled his way into the music industry, and it would be these major moves that would have YoungBoy's name ringing not just in the streets, but also in the corner offices of record labels. At a certain point in 2016, he started working with super manager Fee Banks, a Louisiana industry legend who had apparently helped Lil Wayne start Young Money and previously managed Kevin Gates. Fee would begin to advocate on behalf of YoungBoy in the music industry, ultimately putting him in the position to field multi-million-dollar offers from major record labels. So at this point, YoungBoy was seemingly set. He'd survived the dangerous streets of Northside 38, escaping the trenches with his life, and escaping the clutches of his former crew TBG, as a free agent able to take his career wherever he wanted without hindrance. The problem is, sometimes you can rise to the top so fast that it hurts. And unfortunately for YoungBoy, troubling legal issues seem to arrive just as quickly as the money and fame did. And unfortunately, due to the brewing troubles in the streets between his former crew and his extended family, YoungBoy would end up being placed in a difficult position, ultimately catching a serious case that had the potential to put a complete stop to his promising career just as it was getting started.